After performing a large and varied amount of tasks on last year's feature film, it became apparent to me that there was two areas which I excelled in. Now this doesn't mean that I might be right for those roles, but they're the roles that I enjoyed the most and believe that I would have the most to offer in. So, for the forthcoming 72-hour film project, I would like to throw my hat in the ring for the roles of producer and camera person. During the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you why I believe I'll be the best person for these roles, and I'm going to give you some examples of to what I believe I can bring to the table and towards our final project. After the video is completed, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me and I will be sure to answer them to the best of my capability. The camera person is responsible for capturing the director's vision through the lens. We have many cameras at our disposal, such as two broadcast cameras, the XF705 and XF305, both by Canon, and various Canon DSLR cameras. These are the Canon 600D, Canon 700D, and the Canon EOS 5D Mark III. Now, with this vast array of cameras at our disposal, it's important that we look at the capabilities of each camera and find out which would be the best to fit our vision. Unfortunately, I only have experience with 3 such cameras, and these are the 2 broadcast cameras and most recently the EOS 5D Mark III. The Canon XF705 and 305 are both broadcast quality cameras with a 1-inch sensor. The 5D Mark III, however, is a DSLR camera with, when converted, a 1-inch by 1.5-inch sensor. This means that more light will be allowed in to the camera to create a better image, especially in low light conditions. For this reason, and for the subject of our film that we're making, I believe that the DSLR, the 5D, will probably be our best option. It's not enough to just have a good camera. The skills required to operate the camera include manual skills, such as pan, tilt, zoom, the Dutch angle, and focal pulls. Whilst considering the DSLR, it is important to note that interchangeable lenses will play a big part in the overall film's quality. According to photoguard.co.uk, there are 7 different types of lenses that may be at our disposal. These include a fisheye lens, a wide-angle lens, a standard lens, a short telephoto lens, a medium telephoto lens, a super telephoto lens, and macro. For a film such as ours, a macro lens and a super telephoto may not be the best applicable. A macro is often used for small-scale photography, such as bugs, insects, or very small details close up, and a super telephoto lens will be used at long-distance sporting events or in wildlife documentaries to capture nature as it is, undisturbed. Also to note that a fisheye lens may also look kind of odd. They are often used for very avant-garde reasons and can create a very abstract look. Now that we have the technical information out of the way, such as the lenses and the equipment, I believe it is important to take into account the type of film that we are making. A science fiction film can be very dark and gritty, which means we would need a larger sensor to let in more light. This is why I believe it is a perfect choice to pick the Canon EOS 5D Mark III as our primary camera. Due to the subject matter of the film, it may be appropriate to use such techniques as the Dutch tilt. This means angling the camera at a 45-degree angle to create a sense of unease and dread, like something's off and you can't figure out why, but you know something is not right. And for atmosphere, it's important to use pans, tilts and zooms just so that we can get a fully rounded experience of the stressful situations that our main characters are going to be in. Focal pulls are going to be absolutely necessary, especially during conversations and heated arguments where we need to point out to the viewer, this is where you should be looking, this is the person who's speaking. I believe it would be important to practice that in the coming weeks, just to ensure that it is 100% not going to be a problem. Working closely with the director, I believe it would be important to create camera plans and talk about what kinds of shots we need to in a script breakdown. That way we can ensure that our shooting days are as short as possible and as cost effective as they possibly can be. And because we're talking about cost effectiveness, I believe it's now time to talk about the other role that I wish to take on, which is the role of producer. In our last production, Misunderstood, I found myself doing a lot of producer's tasks. These included scheduling and finance. I believe I did a very good job because everyone was aware of where they needed to be, everyone was aware of the set, the times, the places. If selected to be the producer, the first thing on my list is I will be setting up a Kickstarter for the entire project. I'll be obtaining as much information from the script as I can. I will be offering whatever rewards I can, and family and friends and whoever else gets shared to the link will be able to contribute financially to this film, and if they are available on the shoot dates, maybe be able to participate as extras. If not, they will be awarded a copy of the film possibly, or executive producer roles depending on the amount that they donate. Next on my list will be casting, because we really need a cast really fast. We have roughly a month and a half before we start principal photography. This means we need everything sorted fast. And with this research, I find that the producer's job is actually quite massive. This doesn't deter me at all. These are roles that I will probably end up falling into just due to my personality. So not only would I be responsible for financing and some contract agreements, I would also be involved heavily during the pre, post and during production of the film in regards to the directing, editing, finances, writing, the script. There is a lot of balls going to be in the air all at once, and I believe I can handle this. A great deal of self-confidence is needed in this role. It's down to a producer to tell a director to move things along quickly. It is a producer's job to ensure that we remain within the budgetary constraints we have. It is a producer's job to make sure that everybody knows where they are supposed to be and when, and what amenities will be accessible to them. It is a producer's job to make sure that everything remains on schedule. It is also a producer's role to stay in contact with all cast and crew to make sure that they are aware of all contractual obligations. I feel I'd be right for this position because due to my confidence and due to knowing the roles that are afforded to me, that to remain within budget and to remain on schedule, if it came down to it and I had to, I would demote people to positions which, although they may not enjoy, would be more cost effective to the production company. There are a lot more facets to producing. A couple of those don't particularly apply right here because it would be a producer's job to find a script and to bring that script to financiers, to directors, and to hire the entire crew basically. Fortunately, we are in a position where we have worked on this together up until this point, and it will be now that a producer's role would take place. So the short version of this is I want to be a cameraman, I want to use the Canon EOS 5D Mark III, as I believe it's got a better sensor for the job, and I want to be the producer because I want to stay on top of people, make sure they're doing their jobs, fulfilling their roles, and effectively make a great film. With that being said, this is the end. With that being said, this is the end of the first part of my multimedia presentation. For the second half, please feel free to ask me any questions that you may have regarding my roles or selected roles for the 72-hour feature film. Thank you very much.